I'm Serafín Danessa, founder of eLearningWP, and tonight I'm going to talk about retainers and recurring revenue for WordPress professionals. I'm Serafín. I'm the same guy of the pictures, just let my hair grow. I'm about to cut it, so I didn't even bother taking a new picture. So I am going to talk today about retainers. I can be a very slow learner sometimes. For almost a decade, I was told by everyone in the industry, retainers, recurring revenue is the way to go. And I nodded and I said, yes, great. Yeah, understood. But then when it came to actually acting on it, I prioritized quick wins and the easy access that I had to getting one-off projects, and I didn't implement it. I internally struggle with the idea that having smaller projects, like smaller amounts, and a bigger number of clients was somehow going to be better. Also, I was a digital nomad, and I was a bit reluctant to the concept of getting tied to a client and having to respond, because maybe I wanted to be 1 week offline and not be there for this. I know it sounds silly, but I made up reasons for how that was not going to work for me, even though it was working for everyone that I admire and I was like following. So I knew better, right? So a few years ago, I started kind of playing with it. I started offering to current clients and even some new client retainers, and trying to craft a model and focusing more on revenue, on recurring revenue. And really was life-changing for me, for my business. And as a result, for me, I can actually travel more now than before, which doesn't make any sense, but it actually changed a lot in the way that I operate. And that's why I'm here today. I'm not going to sell you a course on selling care plans. I'm just spreading the word because it really made an impact for me. And I also don't have a perfect plan with all the answers. This is more of like a mastermind and sharing with the community, and open to also feedback to keep improving. Is a work in progress for me. So yeah, I really believe that this is a great mindset towards like the right path forward, both for experts, for clients, and for the community as a whole, and for the WordPress ecosystem. Before starting, I want to make a note here. I talk about retainers. I'm really talking about ongoing agreements. In most cases, sometimes it is interchangeably, but retainers technically is the set amount of hours of work, which is, we're going to see later on that it's not necessarily always the case. But when I say retainers, think also as an ongoing agreement and someone that you work with month to month or in a regular basis. So first is why I believe that retainers are the path forward. You probably already heard a few of these things, but my hypothesis is that the process of building websites is becoming easier and faster for all of us. But also the websites that we are building are becoming more complex, and we are adding more layers of complexity because of frameworks, themes, builders, plugins, and different technologies. And with that, the website that we care about, especially as WordPress professionals, are getting more complex and more dynamic and evolving all the time. With that, maintaining, supporting, troubleshooting, and growing those websites is becoming more sophisticated and multidimensional. In the past, we had a HTML site, we did it, and now you need to know about conversion and maybe funnels and integrating with all the platforms like a CRM and like a million things. If you manage WooCommerce sites too, you probably are familiar with all this. So the evolution of both the technologies and the trends, for example, in terms of marketing or other tools that are connected to the work that we do as web experts, makes it that those websites are not just set it and forget it as they used to be in many cases in the past. Also, the clients' expectations are growing because their own markets get more competitive and they need to be advertising in other industries or competing with people that have bigger budgets in technology or developing new products. With all that together, the efforts to manage websites in an optimal way are growing. So when the build time is being reduced and the complexity is growing and the ongoing work is growing because sites are not what they used to be in the same way. So because of that, I think that framing our own work as an ongoing agreement many times, and I would probably argue most of the times from the ground up, even from the time that we're thinking about building a website and with an approach of that website being a service that we're going to partner with the clients and work in the long term, it makes more and more sense, as I was saying before, not only for us, for the clients and for the community overall. This is not a novel idea. You probably noticed everything around you becoming a subscription, from plugins not having to lifetime licenses anymore to, I don't know, I was like the wearables that you're like, it's the same software, the same thing, why I'm paying a subscription, but they find a way. And there are reasons that go beyond only revenue for that. And I'm going to go into that a bit more later. But basically, I'm seeing this as a service. So everything is becoming a service in the industry, and we are providing those services in a way that it becomes recurring and it becomes more of an ongoing relationship with those clients. So in the case of WordPress and WooCommerce, most of the previous comments apply also to WordPress and WooCommerce sites. The sites are growing a lot. If you use WooCommerce, you know how many extensions you need, how many different tools we have, especially if you're working with big stores that they integrate CRMs and third parties and whatnot. So that also applies in the case of our sites. And in those complexities, you also have to optimize all those sites to stay kind of relevant for your clients in the work that you do. Also, the sites that you work, if you work with WooCommerce in particular, are revenue generating. They are business critical. So it's even more important for the client not to just have a website, but to have a website that is constantly being taken care of. Finally, there are seasonality factors in e-commerce in particular too. For example, now Black Friday is coming. For other people like Christmas, or depending on the industry that you are, the fluctuation have special requirements like special considerations around traffic or whatever. And then there's the reputation risk of your own reputation, because many times when we launch a site, even we did it a few years ago, but that site might still affect our reputation if, for example, we did a really good site, but the client never updated, and then we cannot use that as a portfolio, or we show it to someone and then the site looks terrible, and that might end up impacting our own reputation, even though we already got paid and we already moved on from that site. So what are the benefits of working in an ongoing way? So for professionals, you probably heard most of these ones. You have the recurrent revenue, which Mark was mentioning. It's great to know that you're going to have that recurring revenue, and you don't have to constantly be in that cycle that sometimes can get very difficult, especially if you're small, if you're like a freelancer or a small team. Not knowing where the next page is going to come can be very stressful. Stat growth, which is connected to recurring revenue, But for me, the impact in the you're building revenue over time, and you're not always getting back to zero in the cycles when you're closing projects. Is really good because it accelerates the growth in your annual revenue. Then you have the reduced client churn. Also, the like turning over clients and starting projects and ending projects and everything that is involved consumes time, like meetings, like sales, like a lot of different things that if you're constantly doing that, it adds up to a lot of time and a lot of money. So reducing the amount of clients that you're kind of closing and having to require less number of new clients to keep your business running with the same level of revenue is one big thing. And that allows you to do some planning in the future. It's easier to hire, it's easier to invest in your business, it's easier to pay for the services that you that might save you time if you know that in 3 months from here, in 6 months from here, you kind of know how much revenue you're gonna have. Another one is workload management. If you are working with ongoing agreements, in many cases, you will be pretty good at predicting how much work you're gonna have a month from now, 2 months from now. And believe it or not, that might allow you to take time off. So this is really good for organizing the way that you work. Then the preferred provider status, I like to call it, because if you are working with a client and there's something outside of scope or they have someone to recommend, if you're doing a good job, they're going to come to you first. And finally, increase efficiency because you're working with sites or with projects that you already know, that you're familiar with, plugins that you've been working before, you know the problems. And over time, also you're building processes because you're mostly, if you're working in a niche, you're going to be doing the same things for different clients. So you kind of repeat those processes, and that increases the efficiency and the billable time that you're doing for those clients. Then for the clients, you're lowering the upfront cost. And in this point, I want to stop that to mention that for many people, the idea of website as a service is not a good idea. But I think that because a website starts getting old and outdated as soon as you create it, is actually better for you and for your clients to think of a website as a project that is going to evolve, especially if you're launching something new that there might be unknowns that you cannot predict in the project planning. So seeing a new website as a 6 or 12-month ongoing project and do it in a more lean way if you want, it can reduce the upfront cost. It can be also helpful for selling those projects. Also having you as someone that's going to take care of that ongoing, of course, brings peace of mind for the clients because they know that they have someone constantly available. I mean, constantly, you will have to decide that in your agreement, but ongoing, having a single point of contact. And this is something that a lot of our clients have mentioned as something that they really appreciate, to not have to be like, oh, the site is down. And then you're going, okay, you need to call to your hosting, or you need to go to check your license for whatever. If you're working as in an ongoing matter, you have more opportunities to take control of those factors. And for them, it's really great because they don't need to take care of all those individual moving parts. Then long-term stability, because they know that in the future, they're not going to have to go find another expert for doing X, Y, Z because you only do this or that. And that allows them to also plan and be confident in that they're going to have someone to take care of the site for the long term. And then another thing that is connected to the first item is improving the results of your work and the ROI of your website for the customers. A lot of the times what we've seen is you build a website, but then when you launch it 2 months after, you realize that the goals that they thought that they had when we were planning were not really ideal, and the website needs like changing the strategy or optimizing everything, or after a few months, things start working differently or start being suboptimal while you're on an ongoing agreement, you can do that as you go, and you can change that as you go in a website, and that ends up improving the results for the clients and the ROI that they get, even if they pay more for a website overall over time. But every step of the way, they are getting better results because you're continuously improving those results. And then finally, the time savings from not having to search for different experts or different people to do each individual work in each individual job, and having to estimate and having to go through all the scoping, because, and in here, I'm considering that you're basically getting to an agreement in which you cover multiple aspects, and you get into an agreement of what type of work you do and not to each specific item that you do while you're working ongoing with a client. The last one is for the WordPress ecosystem in general. Just gonna have a bit of water. I'm aware I'm talking really fast. So for the WordPress ecosystem, if these parts work and everything is more long-term and it's more sustainable for the experts and for the clients, it's going to end up being more sustainable for the ecosystem. And in the case of WooCommerce, we can see also the example of Shopify that has an app store and has much more of this dynamic of everything being a service and everything being ongoing. And when there is revenue and when there is long-term commitment, the entire ecosystem is more sustainable. So that can also help to the WordPress ecosystem overall. In terms of quality, the fact that you have more people involved in longer term projects, you're going to end up with better quality work and better solutions for everyone that is involved in those projects. Economic growth is also a thing, of course, longer term and projects that are ongoing, that opens the opportunity for plugins developers, for service providers, for whatever hostings and other services that are satellite to the main business, and that grows and then also brings innovation for new ideas, because when there is economic growth, there's new products. When there's demand, there's new, and that helps also the ecosystem. Finally, in terms of people, again, that are new to the ecosystem, it brings new opportunities, new jobs, and new avenues for people that are already on the system to explore. And then all that together helps the community overall to be stronger, because if you have better products, more people involved, more resources, of course, we can do more of this. We get more of everything that makes the community better. So that is why I think that retainers are the way to go. And again, ongoing agreements, let's say, are the way to go in the WordPress ecosystem. So now, how do those retainers look like? What I'm referring to when I'm saying retainers. The first one is, getting back to what I was saying at the beginning, actually retainer agreements. Technically, a retainer is, I'm going to do 10 hours of work for you this month, and you're going to pay me X, Y, Z. So in that case, you have a commitment from the client by funding the agreement, and then you have a commitment of the expert to have the availability to do that work. So that is the most classic version of a ongoing agreement. Then you have productized services, which are standardized services at fixed price that you can offer. Ideally, something that you can scale. You might require work from an individual, or you might have a part of automation, but it's something that is always repeatable and then it has a fixed price. Then you have software services, which can be like the hosting. And then from that, you can start mixing those to create hybrid models. So you can have retainer agreements that are a combination of a hosting. In fact, that's most of what we do for like the half lower tier of our clients, we do software with hosting, we do productized services with audits and performance and reviews, reports, etc. And then we have a bit of work that we set for specific needs that they have each month for customizing something or for ideas that they have, etc., depending on what tier of service they're hiring. Then you have, if you go up from there, you have value-based pricing, which is basically you set goals with your clients. You're probably familiar with growth plans because they are all over now. It's like the thing that a lot of agencies are trying to sell growth plans, and for a good reason, because basically you can tie that to value for the client, and then you can also tie that with more revenue for you as an individual or as an agency, because you're getting you're in this region. A lot of the time you do work that it really, you think that it has to be done, or the client thinks that has to be done, but it doesn't necessarily align with the goal of the client or the goal of their business. And when you're getting in that region, you start prioritizing things that are really going to move the needle for the client. And you might not do a lot of the other things that you say, oh, we really need to change that page that no one visits. And you're going to start thinking in terms of priorities. So that is the value level. And then finally, you have the percentage or ROI-based pricing, which is very popular in marketing agencies. And we try to implement it in specific client with specific projects. I don't have a lot of experience myself with our team working in this matter, but I know that there are a lot of agencies that are working with that and they are pushing that line of work. And it's worth mentioning that that's something that people are doing. Oh, one more thing. Within that, I normally separate, for you to have an idea of how to articulate this in 4 tiers. The first one would be the maintenance, which includes a lot of software and maybe productized services, which is the basics of maintaining the site. The second one, I call it care, which is normally that plus a little bit of a retainer. Let's say we work normally with credits, not with hours. So you have like a few tickets a month for changing something or for adding a new functionality or editing a bit of the site. So growing a tiny bit. And then we have improved tier, we call it, which is basically you add more work and you sit with them as more of a strategy and you understanding the goals, and you start doing things geared towards the goals of their business to modify the site or to update or grow the site. And the last one is grow, which is, I wasn't supposed to say grow before, but grow is the top tier in which you're actually directing those efforts. So you work more of as a digital strategist, and you're like, look, I think we need funnel here. We're going to bring whatever source of traffic, and we're going to help you design the strategy. So you're not listening to them and applying the technical stuff, you're directing their efforts. So what's included? I'm not going to go through this list because you probably know most of it. These are just random ideas of things that we include for different clients in different tiers, but that's pretty evocative. You want to take a picture of that. And then now I'm going to try to be quick here. The how to actually implement this. I divide this in 3 parts. The first one is to identify the opportunities for you to get to the client and really present something that is valuable for them and is not just good on your eyes. The second one is to create an offer, and the third one is to actually present that offer and start getting clients for that. So in terms of finding opportunities, first step, of course, it will be to review what you're already doing and what of your skills are the things that you get, like that your clients are getting the most value for it. One great way to do that is just ask. So a lot of the times we do many things that we think that are really important for our clients, and they don't even realize that we're doing it, or they don't even care. And some things that for us is like, well, yeah, I just adjusted that email, or deliverability. They don't even know, but it actually impacts the metrics, for example. So trying to understanding what they are aware and what they value will give you tools to later on create your offers. Then listen to those clients and actually care. When you really care, you see more, you understand more as a business what they might want and what they will benefit from. And then look for ways to offer significant ongoing value. So a big thing here is pain points, things that maybe you ask your clients, what is that you really are not getting? And a lot of the times they know, they're not able to put it in the right words, but they will help you find those opportunities. In terms of creating the offers, this is a huge topic. There's books, there's courses, there's a lot of things. So briefly, and this is mostly from the offers from Alex Hormozi, like kind of tweak, prioritize the value of your work. So don't think about the features or the price or the work that you're going to do. Think about what is valuable for them, what's valuable for your clients, and then adjust that to the goals that they have in the business. For each individual offer, you can do it, or you can adapt it for your niche, for example. And then stack benefits. Mostly this is used for managing objections. You add a lot of things, ideally things that you can scale that don't really require a lot of work. Automated things. There's a million tools that you can automate value to your clients as kind of bonuses to your core offer and the core value that you detect on top. And then finally, consider offering tiers. Some people don't really like tiers. For me, has worked a lot, and adjusting the tiers to where the business is. Someone that's launching is not the same as someone making a few hundred grand a month. So try to adapt and give different alternatives and let them see what they think is best. And then the final one is implementing the offer. So now that you've identified opportunities, you create an offer, now you're going out and you're exposing yourself to the feedback of your clients. The best thing to do is to just start with your existing and previous clients. You will be surprised of clients that you worked like 3 years ago, and you just send an email and set a call and then start talking about your new services, and then they will get on board with the idea. If you have a good offer and you already have people that you work with that you know that they can benefit from, that's the best way to start. Second one is to educate and to shift the mindset. A lot of businesses are not really open from the get-go to an idea of an ongoing agreement, and that's fine. And many times you're going to be able to change that mindset. You're going to need to educate your clients in many cases, and that's fine, and you should expect that. It is, if you can explain the benefits well, it is sustainable, it is better for you, and it's better for them in the long term. So be willing to do that work. The third one is mostly for us and for our ideas. Sometimes it's hard to reframe that project. And when someone comes with an idea of a project, think that as I want to work with this person for the next 3 years. The project might take 3 months, but why don't I just from the get-go think about how can I frame this in 3-year working together plan? So it takes a lot of time, but it's really worth it. And finally, evolve and adjust the offer as you learn. This is, as I was saying before, a work in progress. From the feedback you get, you will adjust it. Maybe you will fail a few times, you will get a few no's, and then eventually you will start understanding what is that resonates and what is that persuades your clients to get on board with it. So now that you close a client, it's time to deliver value. And a really important thing to think is like the recurring revenue comes from the recurring value. It's not just doing the same repeatedly. You need to find novel ways to continue at it, stack value that they perceive also as novel. If you're always saying, I updated your site every week, at some point, it's just not novel. It's it doesn't really add value in the head. It's like, yeah, you do that every week. So what? So if you want to maintain the long-term relationship and increase the lifetime value of those clients and reduce that churn that we were talking at the beginning, you need to find ways to convey recurring value that it's novel and that they can also see, because sometimes value is on in their eyes, and you can probably something that for you that is not valuable for them is. So look for ideally scalable ways to add more value. Consistent communication and transparency. Do, but also show what you're doing, because a lot of the times it's just all silent, and I've worked with experts that say that they don't communicate, or they don't really show the work that they're doing, and then the clients think that you're not doing anything. Or also lack of transparency. If something goes wrong, if you're honest, if you're transparent, if you're early on at telling them what happened, that's going to be something that in the long term is going to benefit you. So good communication is key in here. And the last one is to be proactive and aim to exceed the expectations. I think that being proactive, now that you understand the business, now that you're part of their business, just suggest and bring things to the table. Some things that you're going to be in charge, and some things they might be outside of your scope, but you can partner with them to try to get those ideas executed, and they're going to appreciate that, because they're going to see you as an asset and not as just someone that is doing work. The final one, scaling the model. This is just really brief. Automating as much as you can and delegating. Regarding this, 2 months ago, Tiago de Carvalho gave a talk in WP London, excellent talk about scaling, about automating and delegating. So I do recommend you watch that talk, it's great. And then systematize and document processes, especially because you're gonna start doing things more and more frequently that are the same. So this is key. Create partnerships. So when you cannot provide a service, you go to someone that you have a network available that can help you provide those services. And then continue learning. There are courses, there are communities where people are talking about that. There's a lot of things that you should, that you can access to that are going to help you keep improving this model and get better over time. So that is basically the content. Some final thoughts is that embrace the mindset shift towards recurring revenue is really worth it. It's going to have a huge impact. Manage to get it there in your business, as I was saying at the beginning, probably in your life. Track and reflect, because a lot of the times we're in this craziness of every day-to-day of the agencies, and we don't sit to see what's actually bringing value and revenue, and what's the 80-20 of what we are doing is bringing results, and what we are just doing is not moving the needle. So tracking what you do and reflecting on what are the results is really important, and then pay it forward, share it. As I was saying, there's many groups and communities where people are talking about this, and the more we discuss about this, the better everyone becomes, and better the more impact we have on that. Thank you.